Say something.
Hello.
Okay, we're there.
Right.
Okay, let's go over. What's today?
September 3.
September 3rd, Shanghai. Okay, so we're gonna try these recorded sessions because we have these informal, spur of the moment discussions.
All right.
So we're gonna try to change. Hey everyone, Deshawn here, China Expat Investor. With
Sebastian Restrepo.
Okay, so for those who are listening, last season we were with Armando, but today's baby day. He is a soon-to-be father, so he has to take some time away.
We fire him. No, I'm kidding.
No, he has to take some time away for his family, of course, and so maybe he'll pop in 1 or 2 episodes, but we wish him the best for this changing point in his life. So today, I think today's a good topic. We're going to go over 4 topics. Real punchy, these discussions that me and Sebastian have all the time. And just jump into it. So, let's jump into it. So, crypto. Tell me about, I don't know, what have you read this week in crypto this week?
Well, crypto is actually, it's been a little movement this year. I say little because now, with all the craze about going down, going up, volatility, institutions getting in. So there is a lot of happening in crypto space. A lot of new projects coming in, a lot of coins being created, a lot of applications under it. And I think we're going to see, I will say like a turning point where we will start seeing projects fading away or not making it, and then projects that will really make it.
Would you say that, I guess I listened to some other pods, and they were talking about, I was listening to Animal Spirits actually, and they brought up like ETH in their gas bill.
Yeah. So
or Bitcoin and the electricity.
Yeah.
Do you think that crypto will move into a direction that will be sustainability and focus? Because all of these utilities aren't like environmentally friendly.
All right, that's actually a misconception from public. Bitcoin is not different in terms of expending energy from a bank using energy, to be honest. So actually, Bitcoin is actually less energy consumption than a normal, I don't know, you name it, JP Morgan, Bank of America, all the big banks use in terms of electricity yearly based.
When you say yearly, you mean like the accumulation of offices, employees?
Yes, office employees, computers, network, internet,
IT, cooling
sending money through different places around the world. It all consumes energy, and it's all the network, right? It's just that it's so evolved and developed that we don't really see those expenses to the environment. And Bitcoin is the new thing, so I guess it gets attacked that way. However, actually Bitcoin, I saw it on the Bitcoin conference last month, where Elon Musk, Cathy Woods, and Jack Dorsey were invited. There were a series of conferences before that one, and they addressed the sustainability of Bitcoin. So actually they were talking about how you can actually place these mining computers next to hydroelectric plants. Because hydroelectric plants, they produce a lot of power, but not all that power gets used by the network. So there is some energy that gets dispersed and not used. So actually, Bitcoin miners can use that difference of energy and use it for their own.
So you're saying that if I'm a miner or even crypto mining or whatever, I'm incentivized, or how can you say, where there's money left on the table is these different forms of energy. So like solar panels, hydro.
Solar, hydro.
So basically try to not get off the grid, but just get on a different grid.
It's just that it gets bad publicity because the majority of miners were in China, in the region of Inner Mongolia, which is a region predominant by use of coal.
Yeah.
So it was more because of that. But as I seen this year, all that mining just went to another country, went to US basically. And the majority of US power comes from nuclear and from hydroelectric. But they're suffering right now. For example, I think Texas right now has huge problems with the electricity because of the Colorado River is drying up. There's so much hot that the dams cannot support the energy consumption. So it's not like every country has problems in terms of energy right now. But I do not see we going back to coal or fossil fuels for energy. I see it more going to nuclear-based energies and more renewables and renewables and renewables. So I think Bitcoin is all forward that. It actually may actually develop that even more. I saw an article by Square, by Jack Dorsey's company, and they say actually Bitcoin can maximize the use of energy that can actually make renewables go faster. So in terms of energy, it's a misconception. I think people should not always jump into the first article they read. Is always go deeper about it.
Okay. All right. Well, what about this? So PayPal said, "Hey, we're going to get into the brokerage space too. Robinhood with crypto, we're going to be a broker."
They're basically gonna kill Robinhood.
but basically, they're saying, "Hey, we want to get in the game too." Maybe PayPal sat back and said, "Okay, let's see what Robinhood does." By far, Robinhood has the best product out. By far, it's just the best product out there. But when there's money and there's blood in the water, the wolves will come out. And PayPal has 400 million users. $100 billion market cap, users around the world. And now they just have a wallet that's built on top of Kraken, right? So you don't actually physically hold it, but Kraken is the custodian. Now they're saying we're going to facilitate those trades as a broker. Do you think that this will actually, I guess, not even solidify? How will this affect the other players? And also at the same time, do you see it being just one dominant player, or do you see crypto space just being dominated by just a set family? So, for example, in traditional, you have like Interactive Brokers, TD Ameritrade, Schwab, etc. Do you see that for crypto?
No, I don't see that. I think they can compete for sure. They have huge, massive clients like PayPal. 400 million is a lot. But if you think about it, it's nothing if you compare it globally. So I think the key point about any cryptocurrency is that global access, is that global reach that you can be in Nigeria or whatever country in the world and send money across the network, and you don't really need to go for banks for approval or anything like that. A lot of people say that it goes against for money laundering regulation, but if you think about it, it's not like half of the world is doing illegal stuff. It's just...
Not to interrupt you, but to put it on the record. We're financial advisors, and we live in Shanghai, and this is a melting pot of cultures. So I'm American, you're Colombian. As an American, I never could relate to issues that were not my own. So I was in my own bubble. Even that I am the person I am, I always felt like banking is for everyone.
Yeah.
But in my experience being here in China, not only as an advisor in a professional role, but just socially, meeting people with different passports, I never realized how hard it is or what hurdles come with just being able to bank based on your passport. And it really makes you want to check your privilege. So, for example, I had a client from Zimbabwe.
Tough nationality.
We went to the bank and they just wouldn't even open the application just because, sanctions and, geopolitical issues, whatever. The bank would not even look at the application just from the passport. And some of my other clients or people I come across who are maybe from like South Africa, Latin America. And those were the moments, or there was like an epiphany moment where I was like, crypto has a valid position in the market. Proof of concept was there. I saw proof of concept right there that because my country, for whatever political reason, suffers these laws or sanctions, but me, I'm just a hardworking citizen and I can't have access to banking. And I saw that was the proof of concept right there for cryptocurrency to provide access through the internet for you to have money in your wallet to send it and just basically be a functioning citizen of the world.
Basically you have to think about it like a lot of people who doesn't live in their countries, right? But they're still enabled to bank which I think is one of the major reasons that we have poverty in the world, is because we cannot bank people, right? So if you think about it, it's hard to explain this to a person that hasn't really encountered these issues ever. So when I talk to Europeans, and I'm not saying they're better or worse, it's not about that. It's just about you have that privilege that you can bank whatever. And I get it when US try to do sanctions, they want to prevent terrorism, they want to prevent money laundering, they want to prevent bad stuff in the world. However, what they don't consider is that you're affecting an entire nation. So it's not all people in countries are bad. So that's the problem, and I think that's what Bitcoin, Ethereum, other cryptocurrencies are saying. Look, we understand the problem of crime and this, but it's not the majority of the world, and we cannot just punish the whole world for a minority. And that is the proof of concept that we were talking, and that's the thing that I was telling you, like, it really helped that Zimbabwe client.
I was thinking about it now with what's going on in Afghanistan. Imagine all those people who are expats who are going to other countries, neighboring countries like Turkey, or they're trying to go to, make their way through Europe, or even some made it. I think 400 families made South Korea.
Yeah.
Imagine them still being resettled, and the bank saying, and you go into a bank like, hey, I got a job doing whatever job, and you go into the bank and they're like, oh, we can't bank you.
Yeah.
Because you're still from this country.
Yeah.
Even though, there's nothing to do with you, but we can't bank. So
it's an issue.
It's an issue. So I do see the bull case for crypto.
So when you talk about Robinhood, PayPal, I think they will try to compete. They will try to get into the icosystem. But you need to remember, Bitcoin has been almost 12 years in the ecosystem. It's already very well integrated in the world. There is volatility, of course, because it's new. Yeah. But what I see is we're developing more decentralized applications, decentralized institutions, decentralized exchanges, decentralized things that will actually make it more safe for everybody in the world.
Ecosystem, right?
Yes.
It's like not... It doesn't have to be like central banks or decentralized. It can just be, this is an alternative for people who might not have access to those more recognized systems. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Fed. So Jackson Hole was last week. Fed still. It seems that they want to pull back the money, but Jerome Powell basically just saying, I'm not sure yet. The Delta variant is still like topic of discussion. There are only 3 more Fed FOMC meetings this year. They're not, so we know September they're not going to actually pull back the money. So that leaves only 2 meetings left. So that could potentially be Q4 or top of Q1. Let's jump into that. I don't believe the Fed is going to turn off the money this year.
So let me ask you, because you're American, so this is a topic that is more close to you. So you think the money printing is not going to stop?
I think that the Fed is buying $180 billion every month into the market. Last year, the world was in a state of emergency. And now we are going into year 2 of this. So the first year, okay. But Jerome Powell's also, I actually like his theses in the sense of he's not just looking at the cases. He's looking at, again, serving the function of the Fed as trying to maximize or lower unemployment to its highest level before pre-pandemic. He's trying to make sure that there's enough liquidity in the market, but also just make sure, the banks are working efficiently, etc. Well, we know the banks are flush with cash because, one, they're doing buybacks like hotcakes.
Yes, like crazy.
They're flush with cash, so why wouldn't you? Unemployment is going to be hard because we have a labor market where there's 10 million jobs and 8 million people unemployed. But also because
but let me interrupt you on that one. So unemployment is a big issue, right? We know it's a big issue, and that is one of the major things why they decided to print more money, because it basically, in pandemic time, it was 20 million people unemployed, something like that. So that's a huge problem. So do you think we're shifting from the type of jobs that we're gonna see because of the pandemic, and because of all these money printing, people is just kind of like reskilling themselves, if you want to keep talking like that?
I want to say it's a mixture of the both. I want to say that the money printing is not going to stop till this year. I believe he's going to pull it December, January 1. I think one thing that would be really important is the eviction memorandums. If I'm pronouncing that right, apologies. How will that affect the market? So you have landlords around the country chucking up the rent, right? Because their state, or the Supreme Court did not strike down that you can now evict. So similar to the housing market, the financial crisis, right? Housing connects to everything. So people are on the streets, landlords don't get paid, blah, blah, blah. And now that the housing market is cooling, because there aren't, let's say, starter homes aren't readily available, that same audience will be looking for apartments just to wait till things maybe, I won't say cool down, but adjust. So when I look at the unemployment, I look at it as one, some states are still sending unemployment checks, some states aren't. Even the states that are a little bit more conservative or more pushing the labor market to the market, those people are still valuing themselves more than what the market, or that market in particular, is offering.
Yeah.
So I think now the unemployment is out of the Fed's hands, as in it's not a systemic issue that these people are unemployed, but these people are really just shopping.
Yeah, I would say yes.
And so,
but however, if you check the data from companies like Upwork or Fiverr, which for people who don't know, basically these are companies that offer a platform for freelancers to offer services and basically products and try to work. Their subscriptions went up to the roof pandemic. Of course, that's obvious. A lot of unemployment were there, and then a lot of freelance jobs came available. But what I've seen, I read this article, that people are actually realizing that it's actually better to do this, and they don't really need to go to an office space and work for a company, and they can just continue working from home if they want to, or from whatever. So do you see a shift of that kind of mentality of work?
I want to say shift from work, but shift to just the benefits. How can you say? If I pre-pandemic was working a dead-end job and I commuted an hour to and from every day, and I was still living check to check, pandemic hits, and I'm in some part of the world where I'm getting $600 a month, $600 a week unemployment from the federal government. I am no longer inclined or at such a live or fight or flight mentality. I may got my savings a little plush, paid out some credit cards, so now I'm operating from a place of abundance. I'm operating from a place of choice.
All right.
So there are those people who have quantifiable skills who can go on Fiverr, Freelancer, Upwork, and hustle, get clients, and make work. But then there are the people who say, I'm just not going back. For example,
I'm not just going to work, pretty much.
Not even that. I'm not going back to that job.
Okay.
So for example, like parts of New York, whereas they had to cancel school bus routes because the bus drivers, they couldn't find enough bus drivers to fulfill.
Yeah, I think McDonald's and Burger King also suffer some from that.
Right.
Yes.
So they're now. So you look at someone like Target, who just said, okay, we're not only going to increase the pay, but we're also going to offer a tuition reimbursement. McDonald's and Burger King, right? Fast food workers, who are basically frontline workers in the time of a pandemic, are now being valued because McDonald's bottom line is because you can pay these people such crap wages, and you can give your shareholders or equity holders, the back end cash. So now they have to readjust and say, okay, how much of our profits, which is on margin, can we get back and pay our workers what they need to come back to work?
But don't you think this will create a massive problem of inflation in wages in U.S.?
Yes. I think inflation in wages is important. I think it is.
It's gonna happen.
It's needed. It's happening because if you look at inflation, inflation as CPI in the U.S. from, let's say, the 80s, and then you look at minimum wage from the 80s. Because when I was in high school, I was making $5.15 an hour minimum wage.
Yeah.
Only until pre-pandemic, minimum wage was $8.25.
Yeah.
That was maybe a 15-year window.
But so how do you argue? Because most people said when you see data from US, it's an expensive market. Yeah. It's not a market easy to build or to manufacture. Right. So I had this discussion with a client actually, and he said the problem of wages inflation is that we will lose certain industries to competitors around the world because they will just leave. It will be cheaper to produce in what happened basically to China 20 years ago.
It's an open market.
Yes, correct. So people will just leave. But I always tell my client it's not about that. I think it's more about specialization of jobs, and people will just do different type of jobs. Maybe
I think the market will sort itself out. I know I mentioned it before that if you raise the minimum wage to say $15 an hour, or if you index it to CPI, to inflation, right?
Yeah.
2% every year, no matter minimum wage, so that at least that dollar would go the same distance. Some small business owners won't be able to afford it.
Yeah, I agree.
But as an open market, businesses are built and destroyed every day.
Yes.
And that's just the name of the game. But as someone who, I guess I'm a huge supporter of the labor force, if you look at someone who says, okay, you're making $10 an hour, and all of a sudden this business closed. Yes, you have to hit the labor force. But if I told you in 3 months, you'll be making $15 an hour, would that 3-month window be worth it? Because you essentially just increased your earnings 50%.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there will be a lot of blood on the streets, but for longevity, and America has a consumer-based market full of middle-class people are spending.
Yeah, that's
if you raise the bottom line, these people don't have to stress. If they can afford to send their kids to daycare, food, have a little bit of discretionary income, that's going to be more payroll taxes, more consumer spending, which will just generate actual productivity and not just this debt-led based economy. So that's just how I feel about the Fed and the unemployment as a basis, or the Delta variant as a basis to say we are still printing money.
Yeah, I agree with you. So I don't think it's going to go away this year, but at some point it needs to stop. Because you cannot just create debt every year. It would just be crazy inflation.
Money, it's just numbers on the screen.
Yeah, I agree. But sometimes you just have to stop because otherwise how will you sustain the debt?
Inflate out of it. Or, I mean, if you own your own debt, it's like you're a credit card company and you are taking debt from yourself and your due date is on the 3rd. Because you own the debt, you can push it back to the 5th.
I think you guys have a unique because of the strength of the dollar.
Yeah, the dollar.
So most people will believe still that the dollar.
They will believe you're going to pay it off somewhere.
Yes. So I guess buying treasury bonds from the U.S. is still a reliable thing to do.
Yeah.
It's not a profitable thing to do, but
I mean, if it's 1.4, you got like Switzerland and Japan doing negative 0.01.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So it's not a very profitable thing to do, but it's still a reliable thing to do. I mean, you can do it.
Yeah, you take. Yeah. Okay, let's go to the next one. Client expectations. So we're both financial advisors. Full disclosure, we work for the DeVere Group Shanghai office. We manage and service expats in Greater China region. So that would be China mainland, Macau, and Taiwan, and South Korea. And we just help expats with financial planning, from short-term savings, long-term financial planning, insurance, everything under and we're independent. But I think that I've been in this role, this company, for 4 years. And the more and more I meet clients, I realize that clients' expectations of what we do is either is too far from the bullseye, or they're coming in completely blind.
Yeah,
because
I've seen that as well.
I guess what I want to say is, do you feel that clients really know what financial advisors do, or I guess I look at it as, that's my question to you, right? Do you believe clients actually know what financial advisors do? And I guess me to answer my own question, I believe we live in a data era where everything is readily available. The client will go on YouTube, Google, investment advice, and they'll say, okay, financial advisor, I saw this on Google. I want you to do this for me. And I feel that they do not recognize that financial planning is more personal finance than investment advice. Do you feel that way?
Yes, I do feel. I don't maybe people do know what a financial advisor is,
Mm.
but they just don't really understand how it applies in the real life.
Mm.
So basically, I think because I ask this question to clients: what is your expectation with this meeting? What do you want to learn from this meeting? And they usually tell me, I want you to help me invest money.
Mm.
But that's a very broad answer, because investing money means a lot of things. Do you want to invest now and take it tomorrow? Do you want to invest it in 2 years? Do you want to invest it in 10, in 20? So when I get these, I think clients sees us, and maybe this is a literacy problem, right? They don't really understand what a financial advisor do, because what you're saying, right? Like, we take the whole picture and we just draft it in terms of priorities, long term, middle term, and short term. When you talk about investment, it's more about what stock do I buy, what stock do I sell, right? So sometimes they see us more like a brokers, which in reality we're not, because we don't really do day trading. We're not brokers. So I think that's the difference between I think the disparity between clients' expectations when they think they're talking to a broker, which is not a broker.
Yeah. So I think that because we're financial advisors, clients think, oh, I want to give you the minimum amount of money and I want the whole shebang. Or no matter what you say your fee is, I know it's too much, right? I think that there's a huge discount in what we offer because everyone else gets paid. So you go to a realtor, they sell your house, they're taking anywhere from 2 to 4%, no question.
Yeah.
You get title insurance on your car, on your house. You're buying a car. You're buying all these things. Everyone gets paid, but when it comes to someone who's actually helping you put brick by brick plans for your financial livelihood, not for the year, but 10, 15 years out, there's just a huge gap of whatever you say, oh, that's too expensive.
Yeah, I think that's an issue. I'll put you an example. Today, for example, I had a meeting with a possible client, right? And I told him he wanted to invest money right away. He said, so we go to the financial review. So for people who don't know, a financial review is like, think about it like when you go to the doctor to get diagnosis of something problems you have. It's the same with us. We kind of take a diagnosis of your financial life and we help you kind of put that puzzle into organized way and basically make plans according to that. So this client, for example, was like, oh, I want to invest money. I say, okay, let's see what is your income, let's see what are your expenses, let's see what's your emergency funds, all this stuff. And then we realize he doesn't have really money to invest. He has a salary, yes, and he has some expenses, yes, and he makes money per month according to that. But in reality today, he doesn't have the amount that he needs to invest. So I have to tell him, look, I cannot take you right now as a client.
Before that, interrupt you, right? I don't want you to go too deep into that one particular case. If someone wanted to work with a financial advisor, if you were to say, okay, this is the checklist that everyone should have before they even think that they are in a position strong enough to invest, right? Not trade, invest. Traders are short-term investors, investing like holding something for years to come. What would that short list be?
So I will. The first thing I will always ask is your emergency fund. Basically, cash. You have to have cash because if something that proves me very well of that need was the pandemic. A lot of people losing their jobs, a lot of people out of money, a lot of people
stuck out the country.
Yes,
can't come back to China.
Yes, and that required a lot of cash for you to keep afloat,
or even just to take the plane back. I know people who had families to fly from the UK to China, which is usually like $1,500 flight, paying 10,000 pounds.
Yes.
So you got to think, if you don't have cash reserves, that flight will wipe you out because you have to get back to your work.
Yeah, or you need to go into debt. So credit cards and things like that, which is even worse because you're basically saying the money that you make now is going to be useless because you have to pay debt. So
I'll say emergency fund too. I'll say if you're single, 3 to 4 months.
Yes, emergency fund is the first thing.
4 months of salary or monthly expenses averaged out. I like to say, my favorite thing is say organize. Are you financially organized?
Yeah, so the other thing I see with clients that I help them do is actually to have a budget. And most people don't really do this. They don't really make a budget of their expenses.
I don't like the budget.
I don't know why, but most people should do the budget.
I don't like the budget. I'm a big fan. I'm actually against the budget.
Why?
I'm against the budget because I'm against setting a budget because I believe people work hard and they should spend their money and enjoy their money.
All right.
But I think when I hear the word budget, even though my website's called FitBudgets, I feel that the word or the way I look at a budget is don't take money out or prevent yourself from buying something, but your budget should be, don't limit your spending. It should be set your savings.
No. What I see when I say budget is more about organizing your expenses. It's more about taking control of that. I'm not saying you should limit it, spend however you want. However, control it so it doesn't become a problem in the future and you don't save money as well. So I think organizing how you spend money. Most people don't do this, and this is I see it on a daily basis. How much money you spend on food? I don't know this.
This is what I do. I tell my clients, pull out their Alipay, their WeChat, and I go to transactions and I count and I go to their output on Alipay and WeChat. You should do this too. Everyone should do this if you live in China.
If you live in China, yes.
And I say, so we're in September. So if I was with a client right now, I would say go back. I like to say between 4 and 6 months, and I like to say when was the last time you had a trip or a holiday, because I like to include the anomalies, like those spurts of money.
Yeah.
And I'll say, okay, add all of those months up, WeChat and Alipay, right? Because I don't know what goes into your account.
Yeah.
Because it's deposited directly to the bank. But you know it's coming out.
Yeah.
And I take all those numbers, I add them up, and I divide it. And I said, that is your average spend.
Yeah, that's a good way of doing it.
And that's how I pull their budget. I'll say, okay, this is your budget. This is your lifestyle spending budget. Because a lot of people say, oh, what do you spend on food? And they always undershoot it.
Yes.
And they order Waimai every day.
Yes. Most people don't really keep a good track of this. I agree with you.
You order what every day?
So, but I usually use another technique, which is I tell them get another bank account, right? And just create like your expenses wallet or your card. This is your expenses card. And just allocate money into that. If it's 20,000 kwai, if it's 15,000, whatever that number is, and just spend from that card, that money.
What do you think a client's expectation should be of a financial advisor?
I think the client's expectation should be, all right, Sebastian, I need, or Deshawn in your case, whatever they come to us, it should be more about, all right, here's what I want to do in 15 years. Or here's what I need to do for retirement. Or you know what, I want to buy this house in 10 years. How do I get there?
Goals-based planning.
Yes.
Not vague.
Not vague things, because it's really hard for us to assess. I get this question all the time when people come to me and say, all right, I have $1 million. What do I invest on? It doesn't work like that.
I'm going to say gold. I'm just joking. No, don't take it serious. Oil futures.
It doesn't work like that. Because money has to have, in my opinion, it has to have an objective.
Money is a tool.
It's a tool. It should have an objective. So a client should come to me and say, Sebastian, I have a family and I want to protect them. How do I do this? All right, we're going to work on life insurance. We're going to work on this.
I agree with you. I think clients' expectation should not be that we create the plan for you. But, for example, I try to put in a sports analogy, depending on where they're from. If they're from the U.S., I'll say a basketball analogy. If they're from like Europe, I'll say maybe like a football analogy. Or if they're from like Southeast Asia, I'll pick a random, maybe like tennis or something. Something that's common. Baseball, especially baseball, right? In baseball, I'll say your financial advisor is not the quarterback. They are the coach. They see it from afar, and they put all the players in place, those specialists. So you say, as you mentioned, I want to protect my family. So they will put the estate lawyer. They will put the will planner.
Yeah.
They will put the life insurance agent in those roles to make sure that you're situated and track it. if you were planning retirement, they will work with the investment managers or the funds or the vehicle and watch that play happen and just give you the playbook, but also the data and the feedback. So that's kind of how I look at it. But I think it's a huge thing, as you mentioned, is financial literacy, because one, most people don't have financial literacy. They don't earn money, but they're not financially literate. So because you are speaking to someone who's not literally financially literate, it's too many words, because of that, their expectations aren't even within the realm of what they need or what they want from you.
I mean, I do get it. It's hard to plan for what's going to happen in 30 years.
It's hard.
So I always tell them, it's not, look, this is a hard question because I don't know what's going to happen in 5 years. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But the thing that I'm sure about it is that retirement will come. That day will definitely come. And that is a certainty of life.
The money you spent yesterday does not come tomorrow.
Exactly. So you need to plan, or at least have some notion or some idea of what to do to that.
Or for example, if you don't know, if you don't have an idea of when you want to retire, etc., at least we could say, as you say, let's start with your budget, and at least let's just have this money grow.
Yeah.
And then as this relationship develops,
yeah,
and you have a good sit and think with yourself as these goals start to pop up, and as you go through life, get married, have kids, divorce, switch companies.
If you ask me, we're completely underpaid.
I think we're less financial planners than more as listeners.
Yes, that is true.
Like,
that is true.
We listen to people, like when someone gives you their money, that is the most emotional thing that anyone has, their money. So now you're part of the family at this point. Like, hey,
it becomes a relationship, and I agree with you. It's a relationship.
It's a full relationship. Okay, cool. So that's it for today. Thanks, Sebastian, for joining me.
No worries, man.
Let's try this again next week, and see everyone next time. China Expat Investor.
Cheers. All right. Cheers.